I always say get a mentor that's older than you, the
Right.
same age as you, and someone younger than you, because the young person is always going to keep that spunk going, going to
Right.
keep you updated with what's going on. The person that's the same age as you, same level, you guys are like learning together, and that
Right.
older person is going to come with wisdom, like so much wisdom. Even till today, like I have one mentor, she's just like so amazing. She
Right.
gives me everything, and we don't even listen all the time, right? Like
Right.
literally, like she told me that for I need to get like an auditor for a specific project that I'm doing, and I was just like, no, here I
Right.
go, Kayla, like trusting people. But later down the line, I'm like, this is what I need. So if I would have took that wisdom of
Hmm.
what this person has already experienced, already been through, it saves you so much time
Right.
and so much stress. But it's just for us to continue to bring somebody else up with us so that we don't make the same mistake. And that's really what Blueprint University is here for now.
What up, world? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Cosigns Conversations podcast. I'm your host, KG. At Cosign Conversation, we interview entrepreneurs, executives, professionals, and artists that we co-sign and want to share and highlight with our community. Today, we're at the Blueprint University in Dallas, Texas, and I'm here with the CEO and founder, Kaila Cherie. How you doing today?
Hey, everybody. Good. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm loving the vibe here, the aesthetic. I wore royal blue for you as
Yeah.
well to tap in with the brand.
I love it. Branding
Yeah, for
is
sure, brand.
everything. It's everything.
Branding is everything. So I'm always excited to interview entrepreneurs because early on in my career, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. And I think back when I was first starting, I was just hustling, selling anything I could to get by. I would like to know for sure for you, when did you start entrepreneurship? How early? And can you remember like that first stint in entrepreneurship?
So it was actually on a Christmas day,
Oh, wow.
and I had saw that my aunt was wearing these earrings.
Okay.
So they were like Basketball's Wives was the popular show out right then, and then everybody loved those earrings. So I was like, where could I go to start making these earrings? She was like, just go downtown LA, get this stuff, and start making them. I was like,
Right.
okay, cool. So I had got about $200 for Christmas, and
$200.
yeah, $200. I did. I was like 12 back then, and
Okay.
I said, Mom, take me downtown LA. I want to go find the stuff. So we
Okay.
went downtown. That weekend, I found the earrings, the stuff, everything I did to just start making it. And I just started making earrings from there. So my
Wow.
mom started wearing them to work. She was a registered nurse at the prison in California. So, of course, all the women inside of there, they were like, where you get your earrings?
Right.
So then she started taking them and selling them for me. And then I also started going to the beauty shops, and then I would go in there, start selling them. So then it just instantly like grew, and then I'll just keep building up from there. So by the end of it, I was making like $3,600 a week selling earrings.
At
So
age 12?
yes, at 12. Like, so I didn't know what $3,600 probably was at that time. So I was
Right.
just saving it. And
Okay.
that was really my entry point into entrepreneurship.
Okay, from saving $3,600 a week, do you remember what you ended up doing with that capital?
So by then, what I was very big in like school. So
Okay.
I scholared like academically, like that was my thing. And then I always tried to be into all the clubs. So I was like
Right.
presidents of Black Student Union, the school, and all those things. So I would put on like talent shows. I would put on all these different shows. So I remember investing my money
Right.
into those for like the campus to soar and
Oh,
for us to
wow.
bring different things to the community. I had a girls club as well that I started back then in high school, and I just kept growing it from there. So that's just where I really invested my money, and then I just continued to save. I started working. I worked at In and Out.
In-N-Out Burger?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was my first like real job, and probably my last like real job that I worked. But I did stick to it till I graduated. But it also helped me like build capital and raise up. So then by college, when I went to school, I ended up becoming an angel investor, and that's like where the real journey started.
In college?
Yeah,
So much to unpack there.
so
First
much,
off,
right?
first off, if I was making $3,600 a week at the age 12, I would not be working at all. So we'll start there. And then secondly, it's amazing that early on you was already had the fortitude to want to give back to your community
Yeah.
and to provide and help others. I just think naturally, as children, we get a lot of money. We want to do stuff ourselves or maybe our close circle. So for you to want to give back, that was amazing early on. Where did like that sense of community come from for you?
Well, I think where the sense of community came from was I always was into like the medical field. That was
Okay.
my passion. I wanted to be a neurologist. That was
Oh
my
wow.
overall dream. That's what I went to school for. In high school, I went to nursing school. So I did that
Oh
as
wow.
well as doing that. But I think I always just wanted to give back. It was my dream to own my own hospital one day and
Oh
to
wow.
be able to like just give. Like that's just what I instantly like would do like
Right.
um just give and just seeing the growth of people and things that was needed. Like even when I started the girls club, I was like, this is what's needed. Women, like small young girls, need someone to talk to.
Right.
And so we did those weekly classes, and then when I had the classes with them on a weekly basis, and they were like a lot of mothers and daughters were like struggling with that bond. So I said, okay, we're having a mom and tea.
Oh wow.
Like it was Mother's Day brunch. So we
Right.
ended up mending a lot of mother-daughter relationships with that, and it was just so fulfilling. And that's just kind of like
That's
where
awesome.
it started. Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's fast forward to now you're in college and you saved up this capital, you built a community, and you started to angel invest.
Yes.
Okay. What was that first business? Do you remember?
So it was called ABE. It
Okay.
was all black everything.
Okay.
I wanted to be a Chinatown. I wanted to make it an African American Chinatown for young black entrepreneurs.
Oh wow.
So I had this 160 space building right across the street from UNLV where I went to school.
Okay.
And my mission was to fill this space up with all different businesses. Now, when I graduated, I still had savings. So I had capital, I
Okay.
had the credit, and everything that I could, do to pour back into. So I just saw business like as a spark. I don't really know what that part was, but it was just like something that naturally came to me and that I knew I could do. So I just wanted to give back to the community. So I would come into like my nail tech and she'll be like, I want to expand. I want to, this and that. So I'll be like, let me write your business plan. Let me do this and that. And I would do that for them. And then I'm like, here's this space. Let me put you in this space.
Oh
And it
wow.
just instantly kept growing from there. Unfortunately, though, pouring back into the community and not really knowing, the bad parts of business, because
Right.
not everybody has great hearts when you're in
Oh yeah.
business. It ended up leaving me bankrupt by 21, but that's just the story. So
Okay. So before 21, super successful, investing in companies. 21, because you invested in the community, you ended up bankrupt. How do you get out of that?
So, it was a challenge. It was juggling a lot at the
Right.
time. So I was just, it was in a dark space because you're like, where did I go wrong? But
Right.
not knowing and not really having anybody there that understand. It was like a very silent journey of trying to build an empire
And
because
lonely.
in lonely,
Right.
yeah, because there wasn't no one I really called in or called on or like, hey, I need advice in this. So I really just had to figure it out on my own. And that's why even now, like, community is so important to have because I wish then I had one of me or, other people that are building successful communities to be able to fall back on. But anywho, fast forwarding, I ended up getting into the franchise industry.
Okay.
So I was a sub dealer for ADT, where we build offices, we sold home alarms. So that's kind
Okay.
of how I built my capital back up. And then when I got out of that, like I just saw the industry, the potential of where it was. I continued to go to school, was doing that, just trying to build myself back up to where I knew I could be. When I finished, I saw Dallas was the new hot market. Like
Okay.
they were building houses.
Yeah.
It was like successful. It was good. Like I visited here once that June. By September, I moved.
Oh wow.
And I was just like, this is just going to be my next home. And so I did that, and I had intentions of becoming a franchise dealer with them, but there was a lot that went into it, things that didn't expect. But then I became a Brinks Home Security franchise dealer. I built up those offices, was selling 200 sales a month. Build up that team, and now we have 4 different offices in the locations, and they run itself. So
Again, there's a lot to unpack there.
I know.
So, okay, franchising. What made you want to get into franchising and why security? I feel like that's like it's random, right?
It was very random, but it wasn't like it was something I was passionate about. It was
Right.
just something that like came on your lap and hey, it makes money. Let me run with it and do it.
So
And
someone approached you with the opportunity, or how that
yeah,
happened?
pretty much that. Someone approached me with the opportunity, like, this is what I do, this is how, it runs. So I set them, I watched, the ins and outs of it. I'm like,
Right.
okay, this is good. Like sales reps, they're making $7,000 to $8,000 a week
Oh wow.
selling alarms. And I'm like, okay, this is good. But then when you look at the bigger picture of what the actual owner is doing, or
Right.
because that's how the mindset I'm already in, it's like, okay, I can do this. And so I just continued to build that over 2 or 3 years. And then by the time I came here, I was able to become my own dealer and then just repeat the process. And that's how we got
Okay.
here.
So when you got into that, at what age were you around? Just so we could paint a timeline for our viewers.
I was in between ages. So I was 21. So like between 21 and 20, I'm 26 now. So 21 and 26.
So you immediately got back
Yeah,
into
like
it.
I didn't have a choice. I'm like, when you go bankrupt at 21,
Right.
you're just not getting started.
Right.
So it's like I have to figure out, okay, how am I about to get my life back together in a short amount of time, and that's what I have to continue to do.
Definitely. So for people that maybe aren't in business, when they hear bankruptcy, they think of like it's 7 years before you could do
Yeah.
anything. How are you able to like bounce back so fast?
So I talked to a lot of mentors before I
Okay.
even considered filing, and because I was so far in the hole, like if you're not over $500,000 in debt, I wouldn't consider filing.
Okay.
But if you are, then I would. So after talking to like different attorneys, different mentors, and things like that, I'm like,
Right.
this is the position I'm in. Um, I just kind of went for it. Like, this is what I knew I would have to do, but I knew like in 4 years I could buy a home if I
Okay.
wanted to. I knew the steps and the things behind it. I knew what to do to get my credit back on point.
Right.
And people do it all the time. So
True.
it's not something that you continuously want to do or something that's like, but truth of the matter is people do it all the time.
Definitely, definitely. I feel like our community is just something like that's scary because we're like, oh man, what are we going to do once we go bankrupt, right? But in business, entrepreneurs do it all the time, and they bounce back and they're successful again. So
And it makes the story even better, like even bigger because you grow. You think about it, Walt Disney went bankrupt, Netflix,
oh yeah,
it's like a lot of big major companies have been bankrupt before, but it's like you live and you learn, and everything happens. So it's like within our community, it's like, okay, we have bad credit, so we're just gonna continue to have bad credit and not make a change about it.
man.
So it's like you got to pick your battle. Like, what are you gonna do to change it? And as long as you continue to um, just grow from it and learn and continue to educate yourself and get the knowledge that you need to bounce back, I don't
All right.
see.
That's also talks about like, I read somewhere that you really embrace making mistakes. All right.
Yeah.
Why do you embrace it? Like, what do you learn from your mistakes? And can you kind of share one of the biggest mistakes that you made that you learned from?
Oh, Lord. It's a good question. I mean, you make mistakes every day because
For sure.
that's the only way you learn is by making a mistake. I mean,
Right.
it's down to grade school. When you forget how to spell something, now you learn over time. Um, but one of the biggest mistakes I think I've made, I entrust a lot of individuals at time. And sometimes, even today I still battle like, who do you trust? Who do you not trust?
Right.
But I naturally just pour into individuals like all the time. And that's what left me bankrupt. So that was like really one of my biggest challenges, because if I wouldn't have poured so much into specific individuals and kept robbing Peter to pay Paul,
Ooh, yeah. I know that.
I wouldn't have probably led that situation, because you naturally know right from wrong, or when you're going down a downward spiral.
Right.
But that was just a mistake that I had to learn.
So how do you, I guess, since you learned from it, how do you apply that today? So you still have to delegate
Yes.
and hire people and work with people and trust people with your business, but does it make you a little more wary now? Are you still wholeheartedly trusting individuals? Do you trust people from afar? How are you kind of approaching, trust in business today?
So what I tell people is like, I trust you until I don't have to trust, until you show me that I don't trust you.
Right.
So naturally, like, I just can't be like, oh, I'm just not gonna trust this person
Right,
completely.
right.
I mean, we definitely have our gut instincts on what
For
we
sure.
know, who's probably not a great fit or who's not good for us, and that outweighs it already. But when you bring people in and then you start delegating, and they're doing stuff for you, you're like, okay, I'm gonna trust you
Right.
until you show me a reason that I'm not, because I'm like an all or nothing person. It's like I'm all in
Same.
or I'm all out.
Same. I'm
So
definitely all or nothing.
yeah.
I'm gonna share one of my mistakes that I did a documentary. Co-sign did a documentary a couple years ago, and this was like one of the moments that kind of like changed the trajectory of co-sign, and also first time I actually cried in front of people. Uh, so I had a studio in Arlington. First of all, I don't know why I chose Arlington, but I had a studio in Arlington, and I couldn't afford it, but it was a part of my business where you know how you want your business to look bigger than it is. So that's how I was positioning. I'm like, okay, we've been doing cosign for a couple of years. It's time to get a physical location. Didn't have any business model in mind. I didn't know what we were going to do. I was just like, we need a space.
Yeah.
We got the space. I'm like, okay, well, we could do photography and videography out of it. I'm not a photographer or a videographer, right? So that means I have to bring in photographers, videographers. Essentially ended up being like just a hangout spot. I would do interviews there, but I'm not charging for that at that time. So it's just more so I'm just in there creating content. And it came to the point to where like every month you have to pay this lease. And I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it. So I asked one of my friends, he's an entrepreneur, and he gave me the worst advice ever. He was like, man, he was like, do you have enough money to pay your mortgage? I was like, yeah. He was like, do you have enough money to pay your mortgage and your lease? I was like, nah. He was like, well, pick one. I like, what do you mean pick one? He was like, well, pick one. He was like, if you pay the lease, at least you could like continue to have the space to do business, which I wasn't doing at all. But he was like, if you don't pay your mortgage, you got like 90 days before they really start sending you foreclosure letters and stuff like that. I'm like, all right. So I stopped paying my mortgage, and would pay the lease. And then I started getting foreclosure letters. So I was like, okay, I gotta stop paying my lease to pay my mortgage. Ended up losing the space, messing up my credit, my personal credit, and then I ended up messing my girlfriend's credit at the time because she's the one who got me the space. So listening to that advice really just messed up a lot of situations for me. But I bounced back from it. Of course, as entrepreneurs, we have to.
Always.
But you have to be careful like who you take advice from
from.
and look at their track record.
Definitely.
You know, like he was successful in the past and I was still admiring him from when I first met him and didn't really look at where he was now. So
Yeah.
that's just my, 2 seconds of gym.
No, it's so important.
I wanted to share.
What you touched on because
It's awesome. Let's definitely talk about that. Before we get that, I want to talk about something that you said. I want to say an article. You said you don't sell dreams, you help build them. I really admire that because I feel like we're in a culture right now where everybody's selling something.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you were, in real estate for 1 year, here's how to become a top producing real estate agent. With no offense to it, no knock to it, but I kind of want to talk to you about your importance on actually building dreams and helping people become successful instead of selling them.
Your dream doesn't have to be just entrepreneurship.
Right.
So that's what it means. It's like everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. It sounds so good, like I don't have to work. But truth of the matter is, we still need somebody to flip our burgers. We still
Facts.
need somebody to go to the doctor and see us. We still need lawyers to get us out of trouble. So don't feel like you have to be an entrepreneur in order to like live the dream that you want. Like, yes, it's good. It has its perks, but being an entrepreneur is really hard. Like, just as hard as going to medical school or anything else, it's hard. Like,
For sure.
it's every day grinding, every day this and that. And it's okay to still just be the regular,
Nah, for sure.
at the end of the day, it's okay to just be regular. Like,
For sure.
and the entrepreneurship, not to say like it's superior or anything, but it's a hard job to commit to because now you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for the individuals that you bring under you.
Right.
Like they're looking up to you, your employees, they're looking up to you on a day-to-day basis to be able to feed into them, to give them, to provide them with a space to work and just grow. So definitely, I just don't want to sell people like be an entrepreneur, be this, do what makes you happy. Of course, create that generational wealth and you can invest in different things and, still be the top doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever it is that you want to do. But just live in your dream and your passion because even with entrepreneurship, like you have to be passionate about what you're doing because if you're
Definitely.
not, it's just going to feel like dead weight that you're just continuously carrying. Like you asked me a moment ago, do I come here every day? Like, yes, I come here every day. I get out the bed and I'm excited. It's like, yes, I'm back at the startup phase
Right.
of building a new empire, but I'm excited about it.
No, it
And
makes
you have
sense.
to be passionate
That makes
about it.
sense.
Yeah.
And number twos make just as much money as CEOs,
Yes.
right? So like you don't have to go through the stress of, funding it and actually building it out. You can join someone and help build their dream. And if you're passionate about what you do within the business,
Yep.
you can still be extremely successful and get
Exactly.
equity in the company.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
there's always that opportunity to.
There's perks to it because even like when you build like a business, if the mission is to sell your business one day, like you still probably lose in a sense. Like as a CEO, you always lose. You
Right.
don't really get, even if you cut yourself a check, like I'm cutting this, it's going right back into the company.
Always.
So you have to get to a certain level before you really start producing and seeing it. And by the time when you calculate all your shifts, every
Man,
hour you spent, all the sacrifices you took,
yeah,
it equates to probably still being paid as a normal employee. So
for sure.
you might as well just
Yeah, if
yeah,
I added up, I'm probably still getting paid like $10 an hour
right.
for as
No,
much hours I
seriously.
work, right?
Yeah.
Like some people can cut off like right from 9 to 5. Like I'm still working 16,
Yeah.
18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm working on vacation.
Yeah.
So, if you don't want to put that much time in, then like you said, entrepreneurship might not be for you.
Yeah.
And that's really okay.
Yeah.
That's really okay. Like we always try to preach like same thing what you're saying is be passionate about something. And if you have a job, figure out how to be like the best at that job,
Yeah.
right? Because you could be like an entrepreneur,
Yep.
So there's always other ways to do something
I love that.
and be great at it.
Yeah.
But the blueprint, first of all, I love the name Blueprint. Like
Okay.
when I first launched the podcast, I wanted to call it like the Blueprint Podcast, but there's already
So many, you see blueprint everywhere now.
yeah, there's already like a
Yeah.
Blueprint Podcast. But I really admire the name. Before we dive deep into that, I want you to kind of share, what your vision was for the Blueprint before we actually talk about what it is.
It, the vision for the blueprint, it progresses every day.
Okay.
When I first started out, I had built up my businesses and I really didn't know exactly how I wanted to give back to individuals. So people just call my phone like, hey, can you help me do this really quick? Can you help me do this? Like with their business. And I'm like, yeah, sure. But
Gotcha.
it took up so much time with my dad, I didn't even realize it
Right.
until my mom pointed it out like, girl, you're spending time. Are you getting paid to do this? I'm like, no, I'm just doing it.
Right.
So, over time, and I think in 2020, everybody started with all these courses and things and it became hot. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I really want to do a course. I built out a whole course. I never launched it.
Okay.
Like, because I was just like, I don't want to be like the next guru or the
Right.
next thing. So I just continue like letting God plant the seed inside and just continuing to follow into it and just started. So, I would go back and forth like, what exactly I wanted to do, but eventually it just came. So I knew that business was like what I wanted to pour back into people was business because of everything that I had already been through and
Right.
because it was like a passion of mine. So I was just like, okay, Blueprint University. I had a list of names. I don't know what the list of the rest of the names were, but I was like, Blueprint.
You gotta tell us one more other name, and I'll tell you one more other name I have for cosign.
It was really the Blueprint. And
Oh, that
then
was
when
it.
I looked at trademarking it, it was already gone. Like,
Okay.
so then I was like, okay, I got to add something else. Academy. I was like, no. So then I was like, okay, university. So
Okay.
that's how university came. Um, and then I just went with it and just kept building and developing from there. So
So when you look at it as today versus when you first had the idea, what has changed for you for the vision?
everything is way bigger than what I expected. I didn't expect to have over 20,000 square foot space. Um, it's funny because 2 years ago I was walking a space across the street not too far from here.
Okay.
And it was like 2,000 square feet. And I was like, had the vision of just kind of making it like a consulting agency or things like that. But it just still wasn't when you walk spaces, when you're finding the space, it still wasn't just doing it for me. So I think I took a pause on it. And then I just continue to develop, see what was needed, like what actually does the community need, and just
Right.
let time go. And then we were in that pandemic phase, so it was a lot of things that were uncertain. So I just kind of, let it progress. And then I went into doing more stuff online,
Okay.
getting more like notice. And then I was like, I want the space. It took a year in finding the actual space that I wanted, like what our mission could serve as. And then
Okay.
just yeah, it's just developing every day. It's something new being created every day. So I'm excited for what's to come, but I do know that this is a very needed and unique space of what we're developing.
First of all, this is an amazing space. It's
Thank you.
huge, beautiful. Highly recommend that you come. Um, for business owners, I want to tackle one part before we even get deeper. So, for those looking to get into a retail space, right? It could be anything. It could be, beauty, whatever it is. They want to get to retail space. What have you learned as far as negotiations on lease, or what to walk into, what to make sure you kind of want to put into your contracts? Because a lot of times people are going in there with no idea and they're just accepting it how it is. So what advice would you give to somebody wanting to get, a commercial space?
Well, I always say hire somebody who knows what they're doing
Hmm.
because, I know it can be expensive, but it's going to end up being expensive one way
Right.
or another. So
Hmm.
it's like you do it, you go find your space yourself, and then you don't know exactly what's in this contract or
Right.
what you're fighting for or what you missed out on. So if you would have hired somebody, it's going to save you that cost in the long run. So find a credible, realtor to come out, find you the space that's going to
Hmm.
negotiate your LOI for you, that's going to make sure you're getting the tenant allowance that you need, or,
Okay.
make sure, that this space is going to work for you and within your budget.
Hmm.
So really do your homework on it. Like getting into commercial lease isn't something like you just do. It's just not something that you just sign your name on a paper
Right.
and just like, this is the space, this is what I'm going to do. Like really study it, know about it, know what you're getting yourself into, because commercial leases aren't yearly leases. They're
Yeah.
3, 5 years. It's like a
Oh, yeah.
huge commitment. So definitely, get somebody that you can trust to walk you through that process and guide you.
Did you need a business plan to get a commercial
Yes.
lease?
So you
Okay.
definitely need a business plan. So we help you with that,
Okay.
help you package your whole thing together. When you're ready, you're serious about it, like we'll get all of your financial documents, together for you, your business plan, everything that the owner is going to want to know about you, especially if you're a new business, because
Right.
they're already leery. So we have to package it to make it, make them comfortable and
Gotcha.
sell your dreams to them. So
Okay. So one of your goals here I read on your website is to bridge the gap between Fortune 500 companies and startups and small businesses. So kind of walk us through that. Like what services do you guys offer? What programming? And who should come here for you guys' assistance?
So for the last few months, our team, we've just been developing, like working out all the kinks,
Okay.
because we want to make sure that we serve our community as high as, what you guys deserve and what, you can't get elsewhere. We want this to be the one-stop shop that you feel comfortable coming to and actually accelerating in.
Okay.
So our programs, we have our incubator program. So this is for those that don't really know anything about business. They're just getting into it or they're just starting their business. We take you through our freshman year, which is 6 weeks,
Okay.
designed out. You do your marketing 101, business 101,
I
things
like
like
that.
that. Sophomore year, now you're getting into a little bit of, you know, business 102, like
Hmm.
more in depth and more progress in actually building out your business.
All
So
right.
you already got your business structured out properly, things of that nature, building your business credit, because this is going to be real important.
For sure.
Because in business, you don't want to be a sole proprietor. You don't want to be the person that's always putting your name on everything. Even when you sign your commercial lease, like you want it to be in your business name. You
Right.
want to bulletproof yourself as an individual. Um, so then we, sophomore year, we have that. Now we're developing out your pitch decks and
Okay.
things of that nature. So then by graduation, you're like a full startup. Like
Oh, nice.
you're blown in, and now you can have access to our graduate programs. So when you're ready to scale, so we have our
Mm.
scale up program. Um, we also have angel investors, so you'll be
Okay.
able to now pitch to angel investors to be able to
Oh, wow.
want to invest in your business, because that's another key part that we miss. And then we have a funding department where now we can comfortably write you government contracts. We can comfortably write you grants that you can get access from the government. So these are just things that we take you through the process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's
Right.
not something that's going to happen in a few weeks. I can't tell you you're going to make $1 million next month, because I didn't do it, and
Right.
I'm not going to sell you the dream that it's possible. But in 2 years, we can have you as out of the red and as a profitable business. So
For sure.
that's our
Another number one
mission.
question right now is going to be, how do they get involved? How do they sign up?
So right now, we have been taking like clients in, like, as our mock trial,
Right.
just to perfect our needs. But we're going to be doing open enrollment once the space is fully developed out, this coming spring.
Okay.
Our, with construction timelines get pushed back.
For
So
sure.
um, Definitely by summer. So we're just going to say summer 2024. We're going to have open enrollment. So be on
Okay.
the lookout for that, so that you guys can come in. And the cool thing about it is, even if you can't get into our incubator programs yet, we still want you to come to this space to be able to be a part of our membership. So you can come co-work. You can
Okay.
come to the network hub, get around the individuals, come to our
Right.
classes that we're hosting. Like our funding department, they'll do like free SAMS registration classes. So be
Okay.
in those rooms, because you never know who you might run into or what someone can help you with. We do networking events
Okay.
every 5 weeks. Dallas Startup Club in the space we're in right now. So that just helps you get to know other individuals and expand your horizons around here. So
That's awesome. Dallas definitely needs this. When you were deciding to move here and open this space, like where did you, I guess, kind of compare what you're doing to anywhere here? Where did you find that void? Did you realize that there's nothing here, or if there was something here, it wasn't, I guess, targeting, your clientele customers? And how did you know this would be like the perfect opportunity?
I traveled a lot, and I saw, especially like with the networking part, I was like, we don't have enough networking events here. Like, there's nothing like going on for us entrepreneurs, but Dallas has the most millionaires here.
Oh yeah.
And like, I'm like, we need to get out of the gatekeeping, or like, that mentality, and just be able to be open and bring people up with us. So, um, Dallas is a community of a lot of older money. So
Yeah.
now it's time for us, Gen Zs, millennials, and things, to get out there and start building businesses here, to be able to um, carry that legacy on. So I knew that it was definitely a need here. And like I said, we're going to have more hubs in different areas,
Okay.
depending on where our clientele is, because we want to service everyone globally. But this is just our first network hub. We also have an office in Alabama. So
Alabama.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, Alabama. But we just want to continue to, expand and just serve, because it's important everywhere.
Right. Speaking of serving, you also discussed about um, turning 30 startups to enterprises
Yes.
by 2030.
Yeah.
All right. Can you talk to us about that?
So our mission is to take 30 startups with us and create them as Fortune 500 companies by 2030.
Okay.
Right. So we have about 5 years now. Um, and with that mission is basically those new innovatives that want to be the next Facebook, the next Instagram, the next I don't know, Coca-Cola, whatever it is. Like, we want those businesses to come in with their new creations, and we want to invest in them and have, some type of um, invest in them as a startup and lead them to that success. And I think that would, be the starting point of something great that
Right.
we don't see on a day-to-day basis. I go to other countries and I see that they have these type of programs where they build up um, startup companies, and they become the unicorn of
Right.
startup industries. And that's really where we want to take Blueprint University, to be able to take those startup companies and lead them to success.
That's amazing. I definitely seen it happening. Before we get out, I kind of want to ask you this. Overall, the conversation has definitely dropped a lot of gems for entrepreneurs and how you can service them. But if you had to summarize, your blueprint for success, what would that be?
My blueprint for success would be, do something that you're passionate about.
Okay.
I am in the franchise field, and it did build capital. So even if you're at that space and you're like, I don't have the capital to build my passion project, find something that allows you to be able to build capital and be able to invest back into what you really want to do, because then you're still motivated. You're
Right.
like, once you find that thing, like, I'm doing this right now because I know what I want to do in the future.
Right.
So it still gives you that drive. So just find that one thing that's going to make your why bigger and let it continue to grow. The second thing I would say is just continue to trust your instincts along the way. Know that this isn't an easy journey. It's not something that is, like I said, is going to be built overnight. It's going to be something that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into,
Right.
and you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to um, make a lot of changes, but just stick to it, and you can be as successful as you want to be. And then yeah, just continue to go and get the help that you need.
Sure.
Mentors, scout your mentors, know exactly what they do, so you know you're taking the right advice from the
Right.
right people, and then just continue to go with it, and don't be afraid of change.
For sure. I like that. sacrifice is extremely important because Oprah said it. You can have everything you want, you just can't have it all at once. All right, so it's going to take some sacrifice. Um, that's why a lot of entrepreneurs don't believe in balance. It's also like at one point in your life, you're all in on one aspect, and the next point, you're all in on something else. So it's definitely, peaks and valleys. Um, Kaila, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate having this conversation with you. Appreciate you having in your amazing spot. Before we get out of here, is there a favorite quote you have or affirmation that you live by?
Oh, favorite quote, affirmation. That is challenging. 'Cause, everybody.
Okay. I'll just say mine. Mine is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Okay.
So I utilize that to keep calling, keep pitching, and just stay motivated. Because a lot of times, you get all these no's when you're like pitching for sponsors or you're pitching your business for investors. You may get all these no's, but, it only takes one yes, right, to change the trajectory of your business. So, you got to keep shooting those shots. So,
I guess mine would be a Bible scripture.
okay. Yeah, remember?
Psalms 21.
Psalms
As
21.
I walk through the valley of the shadow
Okay.
of death.
Psalms 21.
I'll fear no evil. So yeah.
That is real. Again, Kaila, thank you for your time. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to learn more about the Blueprint University, please click the link below or go to www.blueprintuniversity.com. Please follow them on socials. We at Cosign Magazine, definitely Cosign Kaila and the Blueprint University. If you enjoyed this episode or got any gems from it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the amazing collaborations that Cosign and the Blueprint has together. And until next time, please continue the Cosign life. We'll see y'all there.